What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel for another 1/6 scale showcase, where today we're going to take a look at Hot Toys' first James Bond release, Daniel Craig's Commando outfit from his final appearance in his final film as James Bond, No Time to Die. We're going to take a look at the figure first and a couple modifications I've made to the ones I have, and then I got 17 poses for you. So if you like poses, stick around because I had a lot of fun with this guy. I'm a big Daniel Craig James Bond fan, so this was fun. Now, before we get started, if you like my videos, do us a favor, would you? Hit the like button, notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get to it. Okay guys, to kick it off, here's the 3 different looks I have for this figure in my collection. All have slight body mods, which I'll show you first before we get into the poses. First, we have the figure as he comes stock on one side and the mods I've done for this white shirt look on the other, which are added padding to the traps and the shoulders to make him look a little more muscular. I think he looks a little bit skinny, so I wanted to beef him up. Then next we have the version with the blue sweater where I've added padding on the chest as well, as I feel that makes him look a little more proportionate with the sweater on. I also think with the sweater on, his pecs now, the way they are, his torso looks longer compared to the white shirt version on the other side. So let's look at the fully beefed up version first. Here he is with the gun barrel backdrop, which I do use in the display as I have 2 of them next to each other, covering the back of the cabinet. And then here he is without it. I really like this version and I'm glad Hot Toys made it, but his body was a bit undersized in my opinion compared to Daniel Craig's real body type. So what I decided to do was to have a crack at bulking him up myself in the traps, shoulders and chest for this look. For what I used, I molded Kids Air dry clay to make the top layer of muscle. I just molded it over. Once it was dry, I then slid it down through the collar with care and patience. You can do it just by pushing the padding into place and you get this result. And then next, we have the white shirt version where I've added padding just to the traps and shoulders, as the chest padding didn't look as good with just the white shirt over it in my opinion. Now, I actually love this look. The doo-doo accessory is great too, and it's cool that they've added the blood stains. However, not enough and in all the accurate spots, unfortunately, which is something I may do custom myself. I've never done blood effects, but I'm thinking about it. Next up, we have the head sculpt. Hot Toys' first release of a Daniel Craig likeness, and I love it. I see Craig in it from pretty much everywhere. I understand others may not, but that's the beauty of art and how we all see things. It's different for all of us. The detail in the skin texture and paint, it looks awesome and well done to me. They nailed the wrinkles, the vein work and the blood effects. Then we have those definitive bright blue Daniel Craig eyes. These are a highlight for me. I find his eyes are very striking and a key attribute that Hot Toys had to nail when making a Craig James Bond figure. And I gotta say, I think they did. I took some shots here too, posing the eyes and looking in different directions and tried capturing some interesting angles to see if I could bring the sculpt to life. I'll also do more of this with the poses I take next, so look out for that. I'm having a ton of fun of experimenting with this guy and trying to light him too. It's a great figure to shoot. Next up, before getting onto the poses, I wanted to give you a sneak peek of a kit bash James Bond I'm working on, featuring a coup model body I believe. It was just an old spare body I had laying around to be fair from a previous kit bash. Then we have the Pop Toys black suit, which fits him really nice to my surprise. It's actually really good quality. For now, I'm using the Commando outfit head sculpt and hands to see how he'll eventually look when the clean tux version comes out, as I'll be getting a spare of him to add the head to this kit bash. I need Bond in a suit like this. For these purposes, I edited out the blood from his face to get an idea of how he's going to look, and if the sculpt comes out like this, just without the blood on it, I'll be very happy. This is probably how I'm going to display him, holding the pistol, looking off just like this. I'm really digging this look. What do you guys think? Okay guys, now we get into the posing with pose number 1. Bond fully kitted out with all of his weapons being used for a pre-mission look. We're using the rifle, both handguns, one in the holster and the Walther PK in his hand. Then we got the sling backpack on with 4 grenades attached, and lastly, his sunglasses. It's a simple, safe pose that I think can be a fun way to display him on the shelf. Moving on to pose number 2, this time holding his rifle with some minor tweaks to his stance. Last pose I had him facing forward to us more, so this time I have him slightly on an angle with his left side pointing to us ever so slightly. Because of the material, you're all good for arm articulation too, no damage being done, so you can put his arms in any position you like really. So doing this pose, having his arms bent like this, holding the rifle, trying to make this look natural is quite easy to do, and you can leave it long term with no worry. The only other tweak I've done is tilt his head in a different position to try and add a bit of swagger, a little bit of character. You can do it any way you want really, this is just the angle I thought looked cool. Next up we have pose number 3, and for this one we have Bond aiming the rifle. I've widened his stance to make him more dynamic and look more like a stance someone may take when stopping to aim at a target before firing. Again, no problems with posing the arms for this, they move well and hold the pose easily, as well as the legs. I decided to take a few shots of this one too to showcase how I have him posed holding the gun, just in case any of you guys want to try and replicate it. As with all poses, I think some angles look better than others. And for me, finding the right angle to view it came down to how I had his head and his eyes posed along with the direction he's pointing. I feel like that can make it look more real when you catch the right angle. Moving on to pose number 4, and for this one I brought in the diorama base that comes with the Hot Toys BVS Batman 2.0 to have a play with to try to create some scenes. Now, this one may appear simple, but there's a lot going on for this standing pose. And actually, before I go forward, this one's inspired by one of my favorite posers on Instagram, Yanshui632, go check him out. Thanks for the idea mate, I love this look for Bond. I got him standing facing to the right of us a bit, but looking over in our direction. We have him holding onto Doo-Doo, which can friction fit into this hand, but it is a pain in the ass and falls out easily. If you're doing this one, I'd recommend adding Doo-Doo last. We have the whole kit on again with the rifle hanging from his right shoulder and the sling bag still on. Then lastly Bond reaching up to pull down his glasses as if he's just seen you and about to acknowledge you with the head nod. Next up we have pose number 5 with Bond hiding behind a wall, having taken off his backpack, pulling up a grenade to launch around the corner at the enemies awaiting him. Firstly, I really dig this base. It suits this figure as if it could have been made for it I feel. Now for this I've swung it around to use this side. That's the cool thing when you have two sides of a diorama to play with. For the pose, I wanted to recreate a realistic look of someone leaning against a wall while grabbing for weapons. By having the wall like this, it helped me pose Bond to lean into it and to take cover while looking around the corner right before launching the grenade. When you get in close, the attention to how I have his head and eyes posed helps sell the scene for me. That's the beauty of posable eyes. Thank goodness all these figures have them now. It would be weird trying this pose if his eyes were dead centered. Moving on to pose number 6, and this time I flipped the base back around so I could have Bond kneeling down on the grated floor behind the wall, taking cover and reloading his rifle this time. We got the backpack on the ground with the grenades spilling onto the floor to make use of them and help sell the scene. And Bond posed in quite a dynamic pose, which with a lot of figures would put a lot of stress on their suits, especially the legs and hips. But again, lucky he has trousers on, so there's not much to fear in damaging the material. Then it was all about trying to sell a real moment with the upper body by having him lean back into the wall again while holding the rifle in hopefully a believable position that someone would do when changing magazines. I feel like I got him looking pretty real, What do you guys think? Now, I had fun playing with the angles and taking shots with this setup. I'm still learning and trying to figure out how to do good photography and story theme poses as well. It's something I find really enjoyable. Next up, we have pose number 7, with Bond now up with the rifle loaded and ready to make his way forward by peeking around the corner. This one really felt like a movie recreation moment, and so my purpose with this pose was to try and make him look as realistic as possible. Again, I'm using the diorama to help guide me with how to pose him, and with that I mean what direction to have the base facing and where to have him on the base, and then what direction looks good with him peeking around the corner for us to view. A good diorama base really can help you create some fun moments with figures, and this one was definitely one of those poses. I had a lot of fun coming up with it. Then lastly, here's some editing I did to make it look more realistic by editing out the gap on the head sculpt where it meets the neck. Moving on to pose number 8, and with this one we're making use of the ladder that's on this diorama by having Bond hang from it whilst aiming and shooting at an enemy down below. This one is one of my favourites, and I came up with it for this video. To be fair, it's pretty simple, but the fact of having something like a ladder that you can have a 1/6 scale figure climb up or hang off from, that's just a really cool addition. For this one, I lifted the ladder up and moved it up a spot on the base, which is a really cool feature. You can actually move the ladder to your desired height, and I really like that. This allowed me to have Bond up a bit higher for the pose. Another thing I really tried to nail down was having Bond looking in the direction that he was aiming at and having the gun pointed, so when you're looking at it from the angle, it really looks like he's looking at where he's pointing and about to shoot. This is where posable eyes again help sell poses like this, which is a fun thing to try and recreate. Next up we have pose number 9, where we have Bond interacting with another figure. An NPC type goon for Bond to fight with, pieced together using an old Captain America head sculpt, a weld box body, a random 1/6 suit, a set of third party hero lawyer bloody hands, and a knife I stole from Deadpool. We got Bond subduing him with a headlock while aiming and shooting at someone else. Again, I'm using the base for them to interact with, and it's actually helping me balance both figures, so I can have Bond leaning into it and then the other figure leaning into Bond. A scene like this makes me think something like this could be fun on the shelf as a display option. What do you guys think? Do you have fight scenes like this as actual display pieces in your collection? Let me know in the comments down below. Moving on to another variation of the previous pose, with Bond having the goon in a headlock again, but this time without a base and balancing on their own. To do this, I first posed up Bond how I knew I wanted him, with a nice wide stance and balanced. Again, I wanted him having someone in a headlock and aiming his gun at someone else to take a shot. I like the idea of that pose, and as if he's taking on multiple people at once. Then, when I got him set up, I brought in the goon and put him in a position that would use both of their balance to keep them up. And also, to be fair, I think this is a realistic type of look and move Bond could get someone into with a headlock. Out of the two options, which do you guys prefer best? Let me know in the comments. Next up, pose number 11. And this time we have Bond and the goon in hand-to-hand combat, with Bond blocking the knife attack with one hand and punching Cap in the face with the other. And for this one, I rotate him around here with a few different angles just to get a look to see which one works best. Setup wise, this was one of the harder ones I've done with him because it came down to getting both figures balancing whilst connecting with each other and trying to look dynamic and realistic. Now, it is hard to sell the look of a scene like this with an expression that isn't energized as well. This is why I like mask sculpts that come with switch out faceplates, allowing you to showcase calm or angry looking facial expressions, when you can of course. And whilst this pose was fun to do for the video, it's probably not something I would have him doing on the shelf long term. I would probably choose one of the last two poses instead if I was going to do that. Okay guys, pose number 12, and from now I've switched to his final look from the film, the look he has when he goes on that epic rampage through the facility, before you know what, the end. For this pose, I wanted to try a simple walking pose walking towards us, but funnily enough, this was one of the poses that took me the longest to do, because I could just not get happy with how I had him walking, until finally I settled on this look with him walking cautiously forward whilst reaching for his sidearm in his holster. Now, I did use the stand to help him balance because it's very hard to get a figure to balance on one foot when you have the other one partially off the ground like this, trying to convey the movement of him walking forward. Moving on to pose number 13 now, and we have Bond with his daughter's little bunny rabbit Doo-Doo holding his Walther PK pistol in a simple standing James Bond-esque type of pose. For this one, I've got him standing on an angle again, looking towards his left side at us more. If you're someone who doesn't like to do crazy type of poses in the display but wants to make the figure look more realistic or look more alive, changing the angle so not everything is facing straight forward can make something look a little more realistic in my opinion. That's what I'm trying to do here. And now, to be fair, a pose like this is one, like I said before, is most likely what I'll do with my suited Kit Bash version. I already know the final resting pose for this look of Bond. Next up, we have pose number 14, and for this one, we've moved on to a running pose for Bond. Again, I edited out the stand because for my photography, having the stand there, especially when I'm trying to create a scene, it just annoys the heck out of me, and I don't like seeing it. I don't know why, I just don't like seeing it. I like to focus on the pose and the figure to try and get lost in the moment and try to make it look as real as possible. Crazy to me that this pose was easier to get to balance than the previous one, even using the stand. It was weird. Now when it comes to running poses, I find it's good to change up the angles as well and play around with which way you want to view it because it might look really good from one angle and not so good from another. So you got to find the right angle that looks good to you to convey the running and sell the moment that you're trying to get across. I think a pose like this could be a fun display option. If you like to switch up your poses regularly, a running action type pose is a fun one to try. Moving on to pose number 15 now, and for this one I brought back the diorama base because I wanted to do a display option with him in this look along with this base. And as I've done a few different looks already, I thought, why not try something different this time? Something more restrained. And then I thought, why not let's have him do something with his watch? So I've got him standing next to the wall like he's adjusting a setting on his special watch that he got from Q. I love that we get this watch. I also love that it helps hide the wrist joint, especially when you're using the skin hands opposed to the gloved hands. And actually, I quite like this look. I wasn't expecting much from it, but I don't mind it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Next up, we have pose number 16, with Bond in the iconic James Bond scene of him shooting down the barrel, which they got him to do in this film, recreated in the tunnel at the end. That was freaking epic. Come on, I couldn't do a James Bond posing video and not try to do this type of look. This to me is something that I could definitely see myself leaving this figurine on the shelf long term for sure. It was a little more complicated than I originally thought when I was trying to recreate it because I really wanted to work on the balance, but also have him leaning with more weight on the right leg, especially more than the left leg, and because the figure is really quite light, the ankle flexion is not as strong as I would like it to be. It was actually a little difficult to get him balancing like this. But we got there in the end and I'm quite happy with this one. It may be something I come back to as a display option for the tuxedo version, I think. That's probably more suited.
We just need more time. If we only had more time. You have all the time in the world.
I love you.
I love you too.
She does have your eyes.
I know. I know.
Oh man, what a way to send him off. I absolutely loved it. A sad, beautiful, and heroic end for Daniel as James Bond. To try and replicate that moment for my display, we have pose number 17, with James looking up into the sky as he just finished speaking with Madeline, looking at the missiles coming his way. I tell you what, when we saw that in the cinemas along with that beautiful score, the emotions were high, and not gonna lie, Lani and I were both tearing up like little babies. It was sad to see Daniel Craig's run come to an end. I've been a fan and into Bond films more since he took the reins from Pierce Brosnan and rebooted the character with the absolute classic Casino Royale. I love all 5 films, so to now finally be getting figures from his era has me very excited to see what's next. There's quite a lot of looks I'd personally like to have of him. And that's it, guys and girls. I hope you've enjoyed this video and maybe got some inspiration for your own displays. I thank you all for tuning in, and if you haven't already done so, do us a favor, would you? Hit the like button, notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, guys, I'm out.